Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for August 12th. It's Friday. Okay, so thank you so very much for being here. The comments, the thumbs up, the views, the new subscribers. Welcome, my established subscribers. I just adore you, so thank you all for being here. And again, if you're interested in a private reading, in the drop box below, it's an email address. It is soulprint888@gmail.com. If you're interested in a private reading, send me, just drop me a note to that address and I will send you the information you need if you're considering getting a private reading. I want to take to look, this is sort of a broader topic, but energetically, I'm really trying to pull in sort of an overview, if you will. So what I want to look at today is basically to see how Biden is doing as we move towards the midterms and the midterms. So right now, it definitely feels as if the Dems have the wind at their backs. Things are going well for them. Stuff is getting passed. People are pushing back on, the really strong Republican abortion stances and the whole, we're not going to vote for these things because we don't want to, or it's going to make Biden look good, as opposed to this would be really helpful for our constituents. And they're going to continue to get pushback. The Republicans are going to continue to be pushed back when they really do things that are just so blatantly political. People have had it, and even Republicans. Let's face it. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent. If you need insulin, you need insulin, right? And we need to get those prices under control, put a cap on them so people can afford the meds they need. This kind of stuff that the Republicans, are playing with is just not going to go well for them. So, and again, timing is an interesting thing, right? Because we're in the middle of August now, moving to September. Everybody knows, like after the Labor Day weekend, that's kind of when people really go, oh, wait a minute, there's an election coming. I should wake up and pay attention. Except what's been happening over the course of the last few months is you have the January 6th investigations going on. You have the whole anti-abortion movement that is just imploding and really is anti-choice, because they're trying to reach so far beyond that. You have Biden being able to get through, and in many cases, bipartisan stuff, bills passed, and so that's going on. So the Republicans are going to keep pushing this great big inflated Trump-shaped boulder up a hill. It's not going to get them anywhere. But bless their hearts for trying. Just, let's take a look, shall we, at Biden, the midterms, an overview. By the way, people have asked me, I see Biden's health staying strong enough to get him through the first term. Since I first predicted a Biden-Harris vice president team, I always said that he would be a one-term president, but I absolutely see him completing his term. So let's continue to send good positive thoughts that way, shall we? Here we go. Here we go. I have a question. Biden, midterms, trajectory. Biden midterms trajectory. Biden midterms trajectory. Ooh. Okay. So what the Dems have going for them, okay, is the fact that the Republicans are going to continue to come under fire because of their Trumpian behavior. So one of the very worst things that happened under whose presidency was this sort of arrogance, this sort of condescending, this bullying, this bold-faced lying that just somehow they managed to make normal. This lack of shame. Those behaviors have permeated the other party and people, the voters, by and large, are saying, you know what? That is enough of that. But that is just enough of that. And they're going to, the more desperate they become, the more they are going to engage in this kind of insulting, this kind of disgusting, this kind of immoral behavior. And the more they do that, the more they're going to discover that the judgments become harsher and quicker. Okay? Just like we have seen over the last little while with, them voting in a way that has nothing to do with anything other than politics. The stuff that they're trying to push through and cram through, and people are having enough. This sort of push that's going on is really going to start meeting incredible resistance. The Democrats are going to need to work at continuing to spread the good news. They're really bad at it. They just are. I mean, these are a group of people who just do not know how to blow their own horn, okay? But they are getting so much accomplished. Um, and more people are starting to recognize that. They're starting to see it. And they're sort of like, it's getting done. I'm seeing the impact. I'm seeing the impact with inflation. I'm seeing the impact, I mean, the lowering of inflation. I'm seeing the impact with additional benefits. I am seeing, all of a sudden, a really amazing unemployment rate. I'm seeing, you know, all this stuff going on. And this is stuff that wasn't actually going on when the other guy was in office. And so, as people are assessing the situation, they're going to come out ahead. The Dems are simply going to come out ahead. They need to learn how to toot their own horns more, but they will. A couple of things that are really, really in their favor. They really made women angry. Those other people, that other party. Oh, Lord. And they not only made women angry, but they made every enlightened male of the species angry. They've made every person who does not fall into rigid categories like white heterosexual male slash or female. They've upset everybody. And the Dems are being seen as the party that is going to push back against that and correct things. I mean, so just a little bit ago, they passed that, I don't know what's called, the Respective Marriage Act. But there's so much more work to be done. And everywhere you look, there are huge pockets of people within the United States who are saying, that's it, I've had enough of this nonsense with these old guys telling me how to live, whether I can or cannot have a child who I can and cannot love, um, telling me that because I am not in the top 1% of the 1% of earners in America, I have to, one, pay higher taxes, two, work harder because I must not be working hard enough, or three, just suck up the fact that I'm old or poor or can't get ahead. People have had it. It became too extreme. So the Dems really are going to continue feeling that wind at their back, pushing them forward, because, and this is the thing. As this thing moves forward, you're going to see some Republicans trying to tap dance away, and oh, maybe I didn't really mean that, or well, no, of course we didn't mean it. It's not going to work because um, they're voting the way they're voting, and they're impacting people the way they're impacting people, and that sort of becomes a problem. The Democrats, interestingly enough, are going to start being seen as very strong, very decisive. They're going to be seen as a party that can implement those bills, get them on the floor, get them passed, get them to the desk of the president. They are going to continue to be seen as strong. One of the things that's always been really interesting is people are always sort of doing this. Well, if the Dems would act more like the Republicans, then. But the reality is they're not. And you don't want them to because they are, the way they think, their philosophy, they include all of it, is the future. And so, while for a while, okay, quite a while, they were sort of viewed as the weaker party because they didn't behave in the aggressive ways that the other party did, that's going to become their strength because they're going to be seen as compassionate. They're going to be seen as, inclusive. They're going to be seen as not only being willing to reach down and give somebody a hand up, but in fact desirous to do so. Even though sometimes it can be really frustrating, the reality of the situation is that the world as we know it, the world as we see it, is shifting and changing. And that which has worked in the past is no longer working. And in many ways, the United States is it's that pendulum thing again, right? It's like under Trump, they went so far in one direction. And now they're shifting back in the other direction and they're saying, no, enough is enough. We're pushing back against this, we're pushing back against that. Why are you voting like that? That's insulting, whatever it is. And so you can see where that real authoritarianism sort of attitude is really being shifted to a very, very different kind of attitude. And the United States, I guess, in many ways, because you're just a country of sort of extremes like that, it's becoming a really good example of that balance being achieved. The magic is with Biden and the Dems. In some ways, the midterms are not going to be so much about Biden as they're going to be about the attitude, the belief structure, the philosophies of the party, but more about the way the party has been able to turn what was really a bad situation. And they've been able to take that disappointment and turn it around and start moving the country forward in a way that is prosperous, in a way that moves things forward for everyone. And that's important. You're going to see the numbers continue to increase, the polls, the poll numbers, the approval ratings, all of it. And between now and November, even though there isn't that much time, like 90 days, maybe less, what you are going to see is there's going to continue to shove stuff through. There's going to be more stuff that gets passed. There's going to be more stuff that um, that simply works to not only the benefit of the Democratic Party, but frankly to the benefit of the citizens of the United States. The January 6th committee is not done, and they're going to contribute to that sort of turning away from, because as more and more people continue to find out just how incredibly close the country came to losing its democracy and how incredibly corrupt the people in the Trump orbit were and the lengths to which they were willing to go. Um, Again, you're going to feel that real sense of people just pushing back and saying, this will not do. This will not do. It, I'm starting to feel like I sound a little bit like a broken record, but the reality is this: we are shifting to another kind of energy, a new kind of energy, a higher vibration of energy. And so those things that worked in the past, those things that were acceptable in the past, are not going to be acceptable. Now, listen, don't kid yourself. There is going to be a part of that other party that is going to become fueled by like white supremacists. Okay? They're going to be that small little fraction of people who, despite people who, you know, run somebody down in the road and shoot him because he was out jogging, get multiple life sentences for their crime, despite the fact that investigations are being opened into events of, behavior from the police that was not acceptable, despite the fact that people who were on the Hill on January 6th are receiving stiffer and stiffer sentences. They're going to hang in there because that was sort of unleashed. And this is the reality. Once the Republicans suffer yet another loss in November, because they're not going to hold the House, they're going to lose a couple seats. Um, sorry, I meant the Senate. So the Senate is going to increase in the Democrats' favor. The Republicans are going to lose seats, not gain. The House is going to hold or increase seats. So it's two defeats there. You're going to see a shift, somewhere around middle of 2023 or so, where they're kind of going to go, okay, wait a minute, we have to pull back. We can't keep pushing ahead. And they're going to try to stumble back into sort of a more neutral ground. It's not going to work. Those attitudes are going to be so entrenched that really the lunatics are going to be running the insane asylum. Okay, they're going to be running the party. And you're going to find the more traditional Republicans really, really struggling to find like a foothold somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the line there wasn't sort of this push for three parties. The reality, though, is that in the short term, they don't have the time to actually build up a strong enough presence to actually have any sort of a serious impact on the 2024 elections. Okay, so there's that. But you just have these changes. You have the endings of cycles and the beginnings of new cycles. And, listen, it's not going to be a walk in the park for the Dems. People need to stay engaged. People need to get out there and vote. People need to do what they need to do. But for the first time in a really long time, like since the last election, Democrats and independents are getting really, really fired up because they are becoming more and more aware of the fact that they have a burden to carry. They have a responsibility as people who live in a country, who are in a democracy, who need to vote and need to engage and need to be aware of what's going on around them. And so that energetically just continues to build and build as you go forward. And so it really does look like overall, you're going to have one party who is moving forward and one party who is sort of in a defensive posture and who continues to believe they have the high ground, and they're not realizing that they're looking at things upside down. Okay, like literally. Okay, so the Republicans are defensive. They think they have the high ground, but they don't. They're not seeing things clearly. They're viewing the world upside down. They don't have clarity about what and how um, the shifts are, and how things are. This is what's so sort of fascinating about their mindset. Everything always moves forward. It just does. That's how energy is set up to work. That is how the human mind, if you will, the human attitude is set up to work. And what they are trying to do is drag everything into reverse, and it's just not going to work. And unfortunately, it's going to become so much more apparent. And it's going to cause a lot of people to do a lot of soul searching about exactly what kind of a country they want to see. This is not going to be a slam dunk, though, okay? And so the universe is really cautioning that people stay engaged, because there's going to be a lot of big money thrown at that other party, because the big money, by and large, really like the Republicans' policies on budgets and taxes and tax loopholes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so they are going to do everything in their power to really try to get the, get some power for the Republicans so they can start kind of reversing stuff. I want you to know, though, energetically, I have to tell you, and this is kind of cool, is that there is some stuff that has sort of been put to the side, okay, um, in an attempt to get stuff done, okay? So compromises that have been made, things that were sort of promised and they only sort of half got done. And I want you to think about this and remember this. As near as I can interpret the energies I am getting, when the Dems have a stronger majority in the Senate, there may be some things that are revisited. So, sometimes it's a matter of take the compromise now because it's something better than nothing. But know that in a few months, You're going to have 2 more years to get some of that stuff revisited. And the Voting Rights Act is going to be one of them. And some of the things that were compromised on in some of the bills that have gone through recently, I don't know what specifically, but I'm literally seeing them kind of, okay, so it's like they have a list, right? And this and this and this on the list got put into the current bill. And the rest of the stuff that was on the list is like getting put into a desk drawer. And after the midterms, they're literally pulling that list out and putting it back on the desk and saying, all right, let's revisit this and let's get some of this stuff done, because now we have the power to do it. And again, they're not going to end up with like a super majority Senate, okay? But they're going to end up in a far more powerful position than they are now. And it's not long, it's 3 months until the midterms, but the other side of it is that it is 3 months, and a lot can happen in 3 months, and a lot can still get done and accomplished. And between what is going to be passed legislatively, what is going to continue to come out on by the January 6th committee is huge. Okay, we think we know it all. We think we've seen it all. We can't imagine what other horrors are there, but they're there. And we're going to see that coming to the surface. And you're going to continue to see people's ideas and attitudes and opinions starting to shift and change. And the more people scream and yell about stolen elections and it's rigged and whatever nonsense they want to spew, as more and more information continues to come out and there's really more and more clarity, they're going to just look more and more silly and foolish. So that's what I know right now. So as of right now, energetically, it looks like Biden's in good shape to carry on. And it looks like the midterms are going to continue to move in terms of momentum towards the Democrats. And they are going to be able to continue to move forward with some of their agendas and some of the stuff that unfortunately got sort of pushed to the side because they couldn't get the support of Manchin and Sinema. Manchin and Sinema are going to lose some of their power because there's going to be more Dems on the Senate floor. And so things that they sort of really push back against, a lot of that stuff you're going to see circling around and now becoming front and center again. Okay. So do not for a second think that Democrats are not completely and totally aware and focused on voting rights and on ensuring that the elections are safe and secure. They're just not screaming about it from the top of mountains. And that's smart, because sometimes you don't want to scream because you don't really want people to pay attention to what you're quietly getting done behind the scenes. Just like what went on with Manchin and oh my God, the leader of the House, whatever, it's Schumer. Sometimes getting things done quietly can be really, really super effective. Okay. It's the weekend. Have a good one. Enjoy the weather, enjoy the sunshine, take some time for yourself. Just have a good one. All things being equal, I should see you next week. Until next time, take care. Be well. We'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.